Welcome to the business overview. Let's talk about what we're going to focus on in this section. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to have you calculate sales and operating profit. This is where you're going to start getting comfortable with the extensive amount of data that you have. You're going to look at historical performance. Remember, the owners have not done a detailed dive of individual stores over the past 5 years. Then your second objective here is getting comfortable with Excel and with a large amount of data. You may have worked with Excel quite a bit and be very comfortable and fluent in it, but trying to get your hands around how am I going to sort the data, where am I going to start, this will give you a chance to use some of the new techniques and some of the tricks. Okay, so you can apply some of these different techniques that you may want to try something a little different as to how you sort it. And you are going to be working with the raw data, which is in the trial balance. And that file has individual information by every single store, every account, every year, every product, and every month. So that'll be bringing everything together to start getting an understanding of what's going forward. So let's talk about the objectives in this topic. So first objective is the business environment. It's always important that you understand the business that you operate in. It helps you get perspective, it helps you look at things for reasonableness and make smart business decisions. So in the business environment, again, we're with a small coffee shop. It's a local coffee shop, so you've got to think about the industry overall. You've got to think about, competition, like a Starbucks. May not have spelled that right, but competition, like a Starbucks or a Caribou Coffee. And you've also got to think of just what's going on in the industry overall. Our second objective in this topic is we're going to focus on Excel. Okay, you've got a large volume of data. This is you're starting with the absolute raw data of the trial balance data, and it's basically you have 10 stores, you have 5 years, and you have it for every month and for product. So you have about 6,000 rows of data, and you're going to have to start getting into it and figure out how you're going to get your hands around it. Our third objective is going to be doing a sales analysis over 5 years. Okay, we're going to do this at a very high level to start. Again, they've never looked at anything, so this will give them a first snapshot of how do sales even look for the 10 different stores that are scattered throughout the metropolitan area. Again, we've got one downtown, one in the RTP, one in Cary, and others throughout various parts of Raleigh. Okay, we're going to also use this to give decisions to start making back to the owners about performance and about risk. So all along the way, we want to think about how are the stores performing relative to one another and relative to some targets that the owners have set. And I want you to also keep thinking about risks. And when I say risks, the point I'm trying to make here is that, as we've said, the owners have a strategic objective. 3 different ones are for over the next 5 years. So as we go through these analyses and make certain decisions and look at some of the trends, think about what are the risks to their strategic objectives that they could make, what could happen, what factors could cause them not to achieve these objectives. Perhaps coffee sales won't grow as much as they expected. Perhaps food sales, they won't be able to expand those. Perhaps the market for expanding beyond Raleigh isn't feasible just given the performance of the current stores. So we kind of want to keep thinking about basically what could happen. So I'm going to ask you to kind of keep that in mind. So with that, let's talk a little bit more about the business case. So let's talk a little bit about the business case and what you need to think about in this topic. First, your role is you are analyzing store sales for the last 5 years, and I want you to look at a % change in sales from year to year. And think about, is the trend, is Are the sales increasing? Are the sales decreasing? Is there an off year? Is there a consistency over the 10 stores? I want you to also kind of compare and contrast. Remember, you have 10 stores. Okay, the second thing I want you to think about is you've got a lot of historical information, but I want you to kind of put together a summary, taking this 5 years of data, looking at the percent change, and I want you to make it focused for the owners. Okay, they need to see, what are, just big picture, what are the sales over the last 5 years by store? Are there, can you show that in a chart? So you might want to put together, I've asked you to do a small chart. So think about it from a perspective of, you've got 10 stores, 5 years. Do you do 10 different bars? Do you do a stack chart? Think about how it would be best to visually present this. Remember, you are continually giving the owners a perspective on how the business has performed. You've got historical data for 5 years by month. As we work a little further in this course, we'll be looking at some monthly results, but you're trying to just give them your very first snapshot of where the stores sit. The other thing, the last thing you're going to focus on in here is I want you to think about how you're going to communicate this to the owners, okay? Think about the points you want to make. You're going to incorporate information from your summary. So as I said, you're going to probably have a chart in there, some kind of a narrative. But the things you want to point out to them are, what trends are you seeing? Is there something, for example, like a store that perhaps isn't doing well? Do you want to make sure you highlight that? Any concerns that you want them to know about? Remember, assume the owners don't have a detailed knowledge of individual stores. There's a store manager at every store, and the 4 owners are active in the business, but they don't have the intricate details of the actual store performance. And then again, always think about what other information you could have available, whether it's more detail about the financial performance of the stores, whether it's external information that would help you in communicating as clearly as possible to the owners. So keep in mind, you're dealing with owners, so this needs to be at a high level. It needs to be focused. So as you put this sales together, you might want to put it together in total, but you also might want to think about breaking out. Remember, they've got 3 product lines and they've got 6 products. You may want to think ahead a little bit of breaking this out, so if they ask further questions going forward, you've got the details already there. So with that, let's talk a little bit more about the next steps. So let me give you a few things to think about while you're using Excel. Okay, just first of all, think about, where are you going to start? I've given you a trial balance of 5 years of data for 10 stores by month, by product. Okay, it's just one long list. It's about 6,000 rows. So how are you going to get your hands around it? Okay, how are you going to do that? So you might think about, obviously, you may want to sort it. What's the best way to sort it? Because you're doing an analysis by year for 5 years in total. You also want to think about how much of that detail do you want to retain, because you're going to probably dive deeper into annual sales, product sales, a little bit further. So you don't want to have to go back and redo that. A couple other tips to think about as you go through this is that you should be using formulas and cell references wherever possible. I really don't want to see retyping of numbers in spreadsheets. You're going to build on this initial spreadsheet every week, so you might have 4, 5, 6 different tabs adding on to it. And if you keep retyping the numbers, we all know human error, there's a chance you're going to have an error. Plus, if you use formulas and cell references, when you go back and change your assumptions, everything carries forward. So remember, we want to make Excel easy, and we want to let it do all the work. For the last thing, keep in mind that all these spreadsheets, I'm going to use SH for spreadsheets, build upon one another. So what we do in topic 1 will be built upon in topic 2, and then we'll add on to it in topic 3. We'll pivot in topic 4, and we will come up with a nice summary and some other results in topic 5. So you want to kind of keep your spreadsheet as clean as possible. That's part of the goal here because, again, let's be easy on this. Let's make Excel do all the work. So with that, I'm going to let you get into the activity, take a stab at the data, look at the business questions and the specific details required for the activity for topic 1, and I'll see you at the end of topic 1 after you've already worked with the data.